Recording in progress.
Good evening, Springfield. Welcome to the second meeting of this month for the Township of Springfield, October 24th, 2022. Adequate notice has been given in accordance with the sunshine laws. Notice was published on September 29th in the local source, the official newspaper of the Township of Springfield for years 2022, and posted in the Annex Building on September 29th, 2022. Let's do a salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of
America,
to the republic,
which is stands
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty, justice for all.
You know, if I would have known we were, a couple of years doing this, we could have each taken turns each time to lead the salute. So, but the good news is, for the boards, we are back in person starting December 5th at 6:30 in Town Hall.
Why? Why are we going personal?
Rich, be quiet, please.
I'm here in the meeting.
I appreciate
Yes.
that.
Okay, so
Then Lord, what happened to you? What happened to you?
What's the matter?
It
I'm
was
here.
different.
Oh, I didn't. It rained today.
Okay. Oh, right in my hair. I'll keep quiet.
okay, I keep quiet. So yes, Jen's going to notice the public starting for December 5th at 6:30. We will be back in person. Okay, so can we do a quick roll call?
Mayor Alexander Kaiser,
Present.
Commitment Huber,
See,
Mr. David Barnett,
Here.
Mr. Andrew Schwartz is absent, Mr. Aaron Lawfer,
Here.
Mr. Brian Brendel,
Vegas.
yeah, Miss Marissa Ruggiero, here, Mr. Thomas Lopes is absent, Mr. Scott Wishna,
Here.
Vice Chair Sharon Kessel,
Here.
and Chairman Jeff Tiger.
Here.
Motion passes. We have a quorum.
Perfect. Great. Well, thanks everyone for meeting too this month. It was inevitable. We have a lot of these applications and we're just trying to get through it. The first application, which is Upfront Media LLC 8-2022S 11 Edison Place, Block 210, Lot 1 for preliminary and final site plan for conditional use of a billboard. That application is being carried to December 5th at 6:30, and notice will be required as the notice now will be in person. So, Ms. Law, if you would please work with the applicant to make sure that they're aware of that we did carry them, but notice is required for December 5th.
Sure.
Perfect. Takes care of that one. Okay, so we have three applications that are cell phone towers. I believe it's the same attorney, if you don't mind bringing him forward.
Apu, it's Chris Quinn.
Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Quinn. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. I understand you have three applications for three different locations of cell phone tower waiver site plan. Is that correct?
Yes. And it's very similar project being done, maybe slightly tweaked because each site is a little bit different, but it's effectively, it's upgrades for AT&T, New Singular Wireless.
Perfect. So the first one is New Singular Wireless, PCS LLC, AT&T, 2022E, 1 Cornell Parkway, Block 3903, Lot 16, waiver of site plan. So if you could just tell us a little bit about it and on the record, tell us that it meets the state standards of a waiver for an upgrade and no additional towers or height or anything's going to be added. If you could put that on the record, and then we can, very brief.
Okay, absolutely. So right now, this is an upgrade product for AT&T is enhancing their services for 5G for throughout the entire area. What it's going to entail for all three of these, but I'll go in detail with this one first, is the primary thing, the difference is going to be they're going to be removing 3 antennas, 1 per sector. They're longer, like 5 foot, 6 foot long antennas, and they're going to be replacing them within that same spot with 2 smaller 30-inch antennas stacked on top of each other. So while it's increasing the number of antennas, it's actually going to be 2 smaller antennas replacing 1 big one from what someone would see.
Perfect. That's all I need. Mr. Disco, do you believe that this, when reviewing the plan, meets the state's standard for a waiver?
Does it applies to the collocation rules? Yes.
So you're comfortable with it?
Comfortable.
Mr. Hughes?
Jeff, we did not review these applications.
Okay, that's fine. It's not needed, but I wanted to see if you had any comments. Okay, Counselor, anything further?
Nope. That's it.
Going to the board, Mayor Kaiser, any questions?
None.
Mr. Huber? Mr. Barnett?
Nope.
Mr. Loeffler?
No.
Mrs. Ruggiero?
Nope.
Mr. Wishna?
Nope, no questions.
Vice Chair Kessel?
No questions.
Great. I have no questions. I believe it, from what the testimony is, it meets state standards. Can I entertain a motion for approval of waiver of site plan?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a roll call?
Yep. Mr. Barnett,
Yes.
Ms. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Indication.
Mayor Kaiser,
Yes.
Committeeman Huber,
Yes.
Mr. Loeffler,
Yes.
Mr. Wishna,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kessel,
Yes.
Chair Tiger.
Yes. Perfect. Motion passes. Counselor, I'm assuming you waiver of site plan, a waiver of notice, so you can start, given the fact that it's a health and public safety to get improvements of speed of self-service.
You took the words out of my mouth. Thank you. Again, we'd like to waive the resolution for filing for permits.
Sure. Anyone on the board have any questions, concerns? Seeing none, that's fine. Next one is new singular wireless PCS LLC 2022 F. 51 Brown Avenue, block 3102, lot 4. This is for a waiver of site plan cell phone tower. Counselor, if you can give the same brief overview.
Sure. Again, AT&T has 12 antennas at 90 feet on the 120-foot pole. Again, we're replacing, the prime thing you'll see is 3 of the antennas being replaced with 6 smaller antennas, and the 2 will be stacked on top of each other in the same fashion. Some additional minor things behind, and the equipment cabinets are a reduction of cabinets.
The height is not exceeding.
No change in height, for the tower, no change in width of the tower, no change in footprint of the equipment. Very minor in terms of the scope of the project.
Perfect. Mr. Disco?
I concur, and this is just technological upgrades. Going to see
And
it very
you believe
frequently.
it meets the definition of a waiver of site plan from the state standard?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Counselor, anything further?
No.
Okay, anyone on the board, any questions, concerns? I'll just open it up. I'm not gonna read names. I'm seeing everyone shaking their head, seeing there's none. In that case, can I entertain a motion for approval of the waiver of site plan?
Motion.
Last week.
Second.
Roll call.
Winter
Committeeman Huber,
Yes.
of a
Vice Chair Kessel,
Yeah.
Blue.
Chair
COVID.
Kaiser.
B.
That's not giving me the second, but I will vote yes.
I'm sorry. I think 2 of you did it, so I just picked the lady, so. Mr. Barnett,
Yes.
Mr. Loeffler,
Yes.
Ms. Ruggiero,
Yes.
and Mr. Wishna,
Yes.
and Chairman Tiger.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, and I'm assuming, Counselor, given the same stipulation as the first one, you would like a waiver of site plan?
Yes, please.
I mean, a waiver of notice, yes.
Yes.
Or seeing no
The
one having,
resolution. Yes.
okay,
Well, to
that's,
file for the permits.
that's fine. We have no issues with that. No one on the board members? I don't see anyone shaking their head. Any issues? Nope. Okay, good. Okay, the next one is new singular wireless PCS LLC AT&T 2022 G. Well, thankfully, we didn't get more than the alphabet. Otherwise, I don't know what Jen would have done labeling these. Block 200 Brown Avenue, block 1202, lot 35, waiver of site plan for cell phone tower. Counselor, you want to do the same overview, please?
Sure. Yes. Again, Chris Quinn on behalf of AT&T. They have 12 antennas at a centerline height of 139 feet on the 150-foot pole. Again, 3 of the antennas will be coming down. The longer ones will be replaced with 6 of the smaller stacked antennas, repositioning some antennas, but realistically, that's the only change that anyone would see. Reduction of equipment cabinets, minor changes of the other infrastructure. But effectively, that's the project. No increase of height, no increase of width, no change to the footprint of the equipment. It's pretty much the entire project for upgrading for 5G.
Mr. Disco, you concur?
I concur. I think technically it's 200 Mountain Avenue. It's really the firehouse tower. So.
Okay, so we should change that 200 Mountain Avenue when we for the resolution.
No issues at all. No.
And the fire department didn't come back with any issues as well?
No.
Perfect. Okay. Any members of the board have any questions or concerns? I'm not seeing anyone. Okay, so I'm going to make the motion to approve the waiver of site plan for new singular wireless PCS 20-2022G for 200 Mountain Avenue. Mr. Keisner is waiting to second that.
Second.
Okay, we have a roll call?
Chair Tiger,
Yes.
Laurie Kidman Huber,
Okay.
Chair Kaiser,
Yes.
Barnett.
Was that me?
Yes, Mr. Barnett.
Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of background noise. Yes.
Mr. Lawfer,
Yes.
Ms. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Wishna,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Kessel.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. So, Counselor, these will be adopted on our November 14th meeting. You have a waiver of site plan. The board takes no issue of waiver of resolution on this one. I'm seeing everyone. Okay, good. So you have a waiver on all three. It'll be adopted on November 14th at 6:30. We will be virtual like this if you want to attend. If not, our board secretary will forward it to you as normal.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everyone's consideration here and including putting all these three applications together. I think it makes it much more expedient for the board.
No problem. You be well.
Have a great night, everyone.
Take
Thanks.
care. Okay, our last application is not going to take as quick as the other last three. It's a farmer's market on Route 22, 7-2022S, 800 US 800 US Route 22, Block 3102, Lot 10, for preliminary and final site plan with a variance for a farmer's market. I think this is obviously as a farmer's market for, I believe it was David's Bridal at a high level. It's very minor change to the building for the front door. There's some landscaping that needs to be improved and so forth, but we'll hear from the applicant and then we'll converse as a board. So Apu, if you would bring in the attorney.
It's Rosemary Apu. Thanks.
Okay, I think I got everybody associated with this application. If there anybody else needs to be brought forward, please raise your hand.
Rosemary, I can't see you. There you are.
All right, just took a minute. I was joining as a panelist. Good
Okay.
evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Attorney Rosemary Stowe Dougherty with the law firm of Workout, here tonight on behalf of the applicant, RT22 Farmers Market, Inc. We have with us tonight, I think, did I hear, Mr. Karp, we wanted to swear all of the professionals at the same time? Is that what I was hearing right?
No, this time we'll do it. Normally we do that, but we'll keep it, we'll just do one at a time because, so you're going to have the applicant and the engineer, correct?
Yeah. Well, just to give a roadmap, the planned order of testimony this evening would be first our client's engineer, Mr. Stephen Costner of Costner Associates. Then we were going to have Mr. Steiger testify as to traffic and parking and any planning if necessary for the board. And then I had a representative of the applicant.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd rather hear from the applicant first, then your engineer, and then if the board feels that we need to hear the traffic expert, we can then go that way.
Okay, and then just so the board is aware, we have them present, but I wasn't going to have them testify at all. We also have the architect as well.
Okay, we'll see if we find it necessary as a board that's the case. So let's swear in your first witness, Mr. Sue. Is that Sahat?
Yes, Mr. Dustin Sue, if we could please have him sworn in, please.
Mr. Sue, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter tonight shall be the truth under penalties of perjury?
You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yes, sir.
Please state your name. Do you want me to repeat or did you hear us?
I could not hear you, sir.
Oh, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter tonight shall be the truth under penalties of perjury?
Yes, sir.
And please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your business address.
Sure. My name is Dustin. Yes, my name is Dustin Sa, and I'm from the Farmers Market Group, representing Route 22 Farmers Market. We are trying to put a store into US Route 22 in Springfield.
Could you just give us your address, please?
Of the location, 80 US Route 22, sir.
No. Where your office is.
269 Essex Street in Hackensack, New Jersey, 07601.
Thank you.
Okay, so can you first describe for the board what the farmer's market is?
Absolutely. So the Farmers Market Group, we run currently 12 market locations across northern and central New Jersey. And unlike your contemporary supermarkets, grocery stores, we mainly focus on produce, mainly fresh perishable goods, fruits, veggies, dairy products, certain deli products, all fresh stuff. We try to avoid any of the groceries, and we try to replicate kind of the 1970s, 1980s indoor farmers market that appeared in New York City. That's where it all started. And our goal here is to provide the freshest produce that's delivered every day, Monday through Friday, and provide it at the best price, better than any supermarket, any market in New Jersey. So we hope to bring that same business plan into Springfield and hopefully get close to the community here.
Okay, and can you tell the board what the hours of operation of the farmer's market will be?
Absolutely. So Monday through Saturday, we'll be opening at 8 a.m. and closing at 8 p.m. Sunday, we close a little bit early, 8 a.m. start and 6 p.m. close.
And no operation on Sundays?
That
I'm
is the
sorry.
Sunday schedule. Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And then what are the total number of employees that you anticipate will be working for you?
We anticipate about 20 to 22 total employees. That includes, floor workers, cashiers, and management team.
And at any one time, can you explain to the board what would be the maximum number of employees you anticipate would be in the building?
I'd say maximum 12 to 14 employees at one time.
So just so the board understands, what are the normal shifts of the operation as far as the employees work?
So right now we're working on different shifts adjustments because of this minimum wage increases that have been happening in New Jersey. But right now we're trying to do a 7 to 3 shift and then a 1 to 9 shift. And then certain flex shifts for local employees to fill in certain hours.
Okay. And then you had indicated that you anticipate to receive deliveries every single day so that you can have the freshest product available. Can you explain to the board what are the normal hours of when deliveries can be expected and the size of the trucks?
Sure. We use 26 to 28 foot box trucks. They come Monday through Friday every single day. That's the current plan. And they come from all over New Jersey, but we expect the trucks anywhere from 1 to 3 p.m. And we really try to stick to that delivery period because it's the perfect time for us to kind of reshelve the stocks and reshelve our inventory after the morning rush. So 1 to 3 is what we aim for the deliveries.
So just segueing into that, with the other locations, you experience that you have this morning rush, and then that's why the deliveries are scheduled between that 12 to 3. Is there also an evening rush as well, or how long do those rushes tend to be for?
They're very sporadic, but we try to get customers in and out as quick as possible. We do have high foot traffic, so our goal is to have as many cashiers in there and having them in and out. And yes, we do get a lot of evening traffic, people on their way home. And then because deliveries do come once a day, we try to keep inventory pretty tight. With all the stuff going on with inflation and stuff, we've been really, really keeping it tight. So sometimes in the mornings, the shelving will be empty. So we try to, that's why we try to keep that 1 to 3 window to get everything delivered for the afternoon crowd.
Absolutely. And can you give the board a little bit of background of the truck that is proposed and any signage that's proposed on the truck that is the nature of that front yard variance that we're seeking?
Sure. Basically, I thought of this idea randomly. I was shopping for Legos for my son and saw this red truck with produce in the back. And I thought the figure was cool, and I kind of related it back to our company and thought about the nice grassy area right in front of right on 22 there, and thought I could find a nice cheap vintage truck, paint it, and put it outside and kind of decorate it during special occasions, Thanksgiving, Christmas. We plan to have a flower shop inside, so we can put some decorative flowers in there to kind of attract attention on the highway, get people to our store. So that's the goal of the red truck that we want to put out in front. And, there's going to be no logo on it as of right now. But we do plan on to decorate, certain items that match the season to kind of give it a nice little theme in front of the store, give it a nice farmer's market type look.
Right, so the truck itself would really be helping act almost as a sign itself with the seasonal decorating of the pickup part of the truck, correct?
Yeah, we hope that's the case. I think whenever I see a vintage car on the side of the road, it's kind of, my eyes just go to it, especially if it's a bright color like green or red or orange or one of these bright colors. So I think it'll be pretty useful. It's the first time we're trying this, so we hope to get this one approved.
Gotcha.
Right. Counselor, anything further? I think I want to open up to the board for some questions.
No, I was just gonna let him wrap up if there was anything that he wanted to add that we didn't already bring to your attention. So I think we're good, right, Dustin? We'll take
Yes.
questions from the board.
Yep,
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr. Disco, I'll turn it over to you. I wanted you to give the board an overview of, you put together a letter. I mean, some of this will have to go over with his professional. Have you made sure that the location of the truck won't be a site triangle easement issue, leaving and coming to the site?
I did look at that and we're okay. The site triangle from Brown Avenue is actually counterintuitive because of the one-way nature. You're only looking to the left. But even when I use the 75-foot and the 500-foot site triangle, it does not lie within that.
Okay.
It's actually a 20 foot along Brown and 500 along Route 22.
Okay. Do you want to give the board a little overview of, I know that we have some landscaping questions and concerns in your letter, which will go to the which will go to their engineer, but any questions that you have from the applicant?
No, I think operationally he described it. He explained the deliveries. The truck length is 26 to 28. There's truck templates on the plans. If necessary, Mr. Kestner could testify to that. So I think operationally, I think we're okay.
Okay. Ms. Keenan Hughes?
I don't have any questions for this particular witness as it relates to operations.
Perfect. Okay. So let's go to the board for some questions and concerns. Mayor?
I have none for this witness. But
Thank you.
for your time.
Mr. Huber, Committeeman Huber?
Nothing.
Mr. Barnett?
No, I was looking through all the stuff provided. I don't see anything in terms of signage or anything like that. Are we going to see that later?
It will come from the engineer. Mr. Disco put it in his review letter that the signs meet all the definitions of the code. We just have questions if it's lit or not, but we'll talk.
Then I'm good.
And Keenan actually tallied the number, so I think they do have more than permitted, but it is on a corner lot, so.
So they're allowed.
There are signs on the plan, so that testimony will come.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I what I'm going to ask when the engineer testifies too is I want to assume that they're going to be some sort of logo or sign potentially on the truck, because I don't want this to come back to us if that's the case. So if belief is needed, I'd rather do it now than have this come back to the board on something. So if you guys can look at that and your engineer when we go over to him, that would be good. Aaron?
We also did that with Mr. Disco recommended that. So in our application, we had also indicated that in the future, it'd be approximate 12 to 16 square foot sign on the truck in the future, because that was a great point that Mr. Disco had brought up to us previously as well.
Yeah. So, Mr. Disco, if you could just look at making sure we're keen in that that's not going to exceed anything. And if it is, let the board consider it for variance relief now, then to have this come back to us in the future. But we can look through that. Aaron, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. What do you have any similar or it's the same stores anywhere in the nearby area?
So the one difference with this store is we are modernizing the store, but yes, but we have, let me see, South Amboy, Freehold, Middlesex, Livingston, New Providence, East Rutherford, Glen Rock. And Glen Rock's far from you guys, but yeah, we have a.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I know, because I've actually go to the one in New Providence. I just wanted to see if that was you. That's in a strip mall, the one in New Providence, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so this one, the one that you're planning here for this area is going to be standalone, not part of a strip mall.
Yes.
So it'll be a much smaller piece of property.
Yes.
So do you foresee? Well, there's a couple brings me a couple questions. Do you foresee
Sure.
there being a problem with the trucks during business hours when there's not as much space as there is in a strip mall going to be in this lot?
That's always actually the number one concern that we look at. Literally, the first thing we look at is the size of the air loading docks, because of how much produce comes in. We don't foresee any issues with the little back area, loading area. The largest truck that comes in is only once a day. The rest of the deliveries come in, smaller vans from local farmers and stuff. So I don't foresee any issues.
Where the trucks will be loading, will there also be parking there?
No, there will be no parking.
Okay. The roads. The only one I know about is the one in New Providence, and that's not on a real major road. Do you have any of them that are like on a road that's comparable to Route 22 as far as activity and traffic?
Yes, we have a store, Route 17 Farmers Market. It's on the corner. It's on East Route 17 South North. And it's a very, very, very busy intersection. That's actually our flagship store that does high volume. So yes, and that building actually, it's not a strip mall, but it's two individual properties, standalone properties. One's a Staples and one's our property. And yeah, it's right on that highway. So we do have experience with some heavy traffic.
Is that
go ahead, whoever was going to say
I'm
something.
sorry. Go ahead. All right. Your questions first.
All right. That area, that strip of Route 22 has got a lot of traffic usually. Do you see a problem with that if your deliveries are coming between 1 and 3 p.m.?
No, I think what we liked about the property was the access from Brown and getting right in from Brown and then getting the truck out that way. So I don't think the access to the store from the highway would be affected by the trucks at all, because we would be using Brown to get into the store.
The size compared to the New Providence store, what is the difference in size between the two stores? Which is the larger one?
Yeah, it's pretty comparable. Most of our stores are all between about 8,000 to 10,500, 11,000 square feet. So yeah, they're all pretty comparable. We have one store that's pretty small. It's around 5,000, but yeah, we're used to the 10,000 square foot kind of window.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions at this time.
Yeah. So
I appreciate it.
One, Aaron. So I would agree. If they didn't have Brown, I would have been concerned. But having the trucks go on Brown takes it right off of and to the back would be the case. But I actually have a question for you, Aaron. Can you describe from your point of view the store? Because the board, we're hearing it from him. Can you describe a little bit about what the store is and how you think it'll function?
Oh, the description of the store is exactly the way the way Mr. Sugg explained it. It's a lot of a lot of produce, a small dairy. So I guess it's a dairy section, and behind there's a small deli counter towards the back. I'm assuming this will be a similar layout or anything close to it. They usually do. I'm only there on the weekend when I do go, and there's usually they're busy. I mean, they do have people there, a lot of customers, but it is part of a strip mall, so it's really hard to judge what to have the parking situation, because a lot of the stores in that strip mall are vacant at the moment. So I don't really know how the parking is going to work out.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Barnett, I'm going to you, but go ahead.
Actually, just to follow up, since you asked, myself or one of my family members is at the New Providence store probably 4 times a week.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
you won't have to go that
I
far.
appreciate it.
Yeah, having a vegetarian, living here. I love that store. The parking I've seen has always been very manageable.
Yeah.
That store, all the deliveries are around back. So I never see trucks or anything actually anywhere where cars are. More importantly, their prices are great and the produce is terrific. So I think it's a great, actually addition to our town.
Well, maybe
I
you want
appreciate
to drive New Providence anymore.
Well,
Who
this
knows?
is a little closer, but I still like to drive up there.
Marissa?
Hi. Is any of the produce grown on site or is it all brought in?
Brought in from all over, all over the United States, some international. We do a lot of local produce as well. If anyone brings us stuff, I'm open to bringing anyone's stuff in there as long as it's good pricing and good quality.
Thank you. And in terms of like the landscaping and all that, I tried to look on the plan, but
Sure.
is there any plans for? or should
We
can
we
go-
can hold it to their engineer because I think the landscape plan needs some work, and I think they're gonna agree to let Mr. Disco and them work together to get a good plan. But we'll go off to the side for now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wishna?
No questions from me regarding Rob.
Perfect. Vice Chair Kessel?
No, Jeff, I missed what you said about the landscaping. Who should we direct our questions about that to?
The landscaping, the engineer is going to testify to.
Okay.
I believe he's aware that the landscaping needs to be beefed up. It's inadequate as of now, and I think he's going to testify that he's going to do a work with Mr. Disco to come up with something acceptable. And I'm sure the board would be okay with Mr. Disco being acceptable to as part of the condition of resolution.
Sure. Then I have nothing for this witness. I share with Mr. Barnett that I also go to that market on a regular basis, and it's great. And I'm looking forward to having something in this town. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, I don't have any questions. I think the board will have some questions for your engineer, and
Sure.
He can go through some of the potential variance relief and the discussion on that, as well as if he can also address any parking necessarily on Brown Street and so forth. So is it okay right now for the board, for the public? We're going to take all questions that the public may have at the same time from all witnesses. So if you stay by, don't go anywhere. It seems like you're comfortable on your couch.
Absolutely.
You may be needed in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Stone, if you could call up your next witness.
Absolutely. At this time, we'd like to call our engineer, which is Stephen Costner.
Mr. Costner, if you could, our attorney would love to swear you in right now.
Certainly.
You there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Do you swear? I can hear you. I can't see you.
Oh,
I can see him, so it's okay.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter tonight shall be the truth under penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and provide us your address.
Certainly. Stephen L. Kessner, Steven Koestner, 61 Hudson Street, Hackensack, New Jersey.
Can you tell us a bit about, go qualifications, you qualify. Go ahead.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Costner, can you give the board some background by way of your education and your licensing?
Certainly. Graduate of Clarkson College of Technology, 1974, Civil and Environmental Engineering degree, Bachelor's of Science degree, MBA in 1999, Iona College. Have testified before that is numerous boards in and around Bergen, Hudson, Essex, etc., Sussex, Passaic counties. I'm licensed as a professional engineer since 1988 and as a land surveyor since 1983.
And are all your licenses still current as of this evening?
They are.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman?
Have you been before our board? I don't think so.
I do not think I've been before this board before.
Okay, well, you can check the box now. You're before us. Board, I don't see anything, any problems with qualifying him as a witness. I don't see anyone raising their hand saying that it's not qualified. So we will accept his qualifications. And if you could give us, an overview of the site and I don't want traffic, but bring up some of the parking stuff because then it may help us.
Would it help if I shared the screen with you?
I would like that.
Let me see if I can manage that. Let's see. I have that here. Let me go here first. And let me get over to, that's not the one I want. Let's try that again. I know you're here somewhere.
Is it Pooh on? Maybe if you have a problem. There we go.
You see, I have the screen, but I don't want this, of course. This is what I want back here, I think. Let's see.
If not, maybe a Pooh can help.
If you have it handy, I had it earlier.
Which file do you need, sir?
Let me just see, maybe I have it over here. Nope. There it is. Okay, can the board see the screen at this time in the site?
No, I see.
No, we're.
What is it called? And Apu will put it on the screen for us.
Okay, this is there's 3 sheets to the site plan. You're looking at the boundary and topographical survey.
No, we're not looking at anything. What is it called? The file name, so Apu can pull it up.
I call it the site plan of lot 10 in block 3102 in the township of Springfield, Union County, New Jersey. The site plan is dated September 1st, 2022.
Did you find it, Pooh?
I believe so. Give me 1 second here.
Thank you.
Is this the correct file, sir?
That appears to be the correct file, yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Just let me know where you need me to zoom in as you discuss your plan.
Okay. Well, I think I would like to start, as Chairman said, with the parking. Presently, there are 47 parking spaces on the site. We plan to expand that parking to 60 spaces. And if you could, there are 2 spaces in the northeasterly corner near the stream or near the bend in the property that we're going to add. That's correct, right there. 2 spaces in that front right corner, top right corner. And then we're also adding 9 spaces, I believe it is. Let me see. Less the handicap. 1, 2, 3, 8 spaces along the building, along the westerly side of the building. So that would be an expansion of the parking lot proper there. The 2 handicap spaces that presently exist adjacent to those new 8 spaces will be relocated closer to the building and to the entrance to the property. And they're delineated with the handicap wheelchair space. And there are 3 ADA spaces shown on the plan that's at the southwesterly corner of the building. We've also added drainage structures to handle the increase in runoff from the proposed parking lot. That is those 8 spaces located along the westerly side of the building. And they're designed in such a way to handle that increase generated by that area being paved. And, whereas now it is a grassy lawned area. As we said, we had increased the number of spaces. If we run the numbers and we've looked at the zoning ordinance, the calculation works out for the required number of spaces would be 55. And that's simply dividing the square footage of the proposed building by the number 200 square feet. And that works out to 55 spaces. But there is a small addition, I should note, there is a small addition to the building that's in the front. It's shown as a shaded area just above the red where the truck is shown. I'm going to say right below where it says FF and BF, just to the lower left of that, there's a small addition of 98 square feet. There is a front yard setback variance that pre-exists this application. And not supposed to exasperate that in any way. The setback now is 27.59 feet. The setback to the proposed addition will be 27.87 feet. So the building will not be going any closer to the front yard. That is US Highway Route 22 westbound. We do meet the parking requirement, as I'd said, with the 55 required and 60 proposed. The access was mentioned. There is access existing from US 22. There's also access existing from Brown Avenue. And as Mr. C had said, the deliveries will be made off of Brown Avenue. And the site plan does show that truck template there backing into the site and stopping at the loading dock to unload the fresh groceries that is anticipated to be delivered on a daily basis. We've also enhanced the trash area. It's rather small now. I believe it's about 8 or 6 by 10 or 8 by 10. We're going to increase that to, let me get my scale. Engineer's lost without a scale. Let's see, I believe it's, 8 by 25 feet. And that's also in the rear of the property off the Brown Avenue access. There would be additional inlets added, of course, to capture that increase in runoff I spoke about earlier, that is, and they are in the same area as the proposed pavement expansion, proposed parking lot expansion. You've mentioned landscaping many times. What we've done on this site plan, if we could go to the sheet number 3. That's our landscaping and lighting plan.
So I've had a chance to review the landscaping plan, and I believe we would like to see some street trees around the property and some additional ground landscaping. Rather than you get into so much detail on that, I'm sure the board will go around, make sure, because I don't speak on behalf of the board, but we will go around. But I believe the board's going to say that they would like something like that and work with Mr. Disco as a condition of approval that there's adequate landscaping put in. And if he can't come into agreement with you, it'll come back to the board.
Okay. The plan does show the existing landscaping there. There are several trees, ground cover type of landscaping, but I think we'd be happy to work with Mr. Disco to enhance that landscaping on site.
Okay, the basin has a lot of trash in it. Is it something that you guys can develop a maintenance plan? If the basin overfloods.
Yeah, I believe you're speaking about, Chairman, the basin in the northwesterly corner, the rear of the property.
Yep.
Yes, that apparently has silted in over the years, and the applicant would be willing to remove that silt and get it back to grade and to a proper working condition.
Okay, subject to approval by the township engineer, by Mr. Disco.
Correct.
Parking on Brown Street. Is there no parking on Brown Street? If you could just describe the condition to the board.
Yeah, I'm not aware of parking or no parking on Brown Avenue. The site is, we do meet the parking requirements, so I didn't investigate that. That type of parking.
Okay. Mr. Disco, I believe if you can hang on 1 second, Mr. Disco, did the fire department and everyone review this for circulation? Or have you reviewed it for circulation of fire trucks and their trucks delivery and so forth?
You speaking to me or Mr. Disco?
Mr. Disco.
Right. Yeah, this site was obviously approved by this board perhaps a couple decades ago, but there's ample ability to drive around the full perimeter of the site. I'm sure it was sent to fire. I didn't see any comments come in from them.
Okay.
As far as parking on Brown, there's a sign prohibiting parking between the applicant's Brown Avenue driveway and Route 22, but the balance of Brown Avenue does have parking permitted.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Costner, can you go through the signs? Now, I believe that you meet our ordinance of the sign. If you can discuss whether it's lit or not lit, and also discuss what type of sign could be on the truck and if that would exceed, and our planner can talk about it if necessary. If a sign was proposed on the truck or some sort of decal or something.
Yeah, honestly, Chair, that's exactly what I was envisioning. The truck will give the site a more classic look an antique type truck. And I could see a small sign on the truck telling us about the leafy basket, the farmer's market type of operation they have there. So I don't see a problem with it. I defer to the borough planner and or the engineer, but it seems to be small enough that it would be permissible, as long as the truck is permissible, of course.
Yeah. Mr. Hughes, can you comment on that?
Yeah, as it relates to signage, we did review the plans. There is variance relief needed for the number of wall signs.
Yes.
Right. So there's 3 wall signs facing Route 22, and there's 2 on the elevation facing the parking area. To the extent they do include a sign on the proposed truck, I think to be conservative, we should just consider that a freestanding sign on the property, and only one freestanding sign is permitted. There's one existing. They're proposing to reface that sign. So this second freestanding sign on the truck, I think we should consider a variance to the extent the board is inclined to approve that sign.
Do you see any issues with it?
Well, I defer to the board. I think as it relates to the truck, my only concern is I think it's a very creative and interesting idea. It's important that that's well maintained and doesn't become, a visual detriment to the Route 22 corridor. So, I mean, maybe there's some language that could be built into a resolution that just, requires the applicant to keep the truck and whatever signage is proposed in good order in the future. But otherwise, there's no concerns from my perspective.
Okay. So, Counselor, on our side, if the board acts favorably, we would want something in there that they, agree to maintain this area. I mean, it is the entrance to Springfield. Coming from Union, it'll be one of the first or second things that people see. So, I think the truck's a kind of cool looking idea, and kind of brings you back to the, the days of a farmer's market type of thing. So, personally, I'm not opposed. We'll hear what the board has to say, but I think that the board should we should plan them putting in a sign so it doesn't come back to us. If they don't put one in, fine. But I would feel that case. We can open it up for questions. Anything further?
Do we want to limit the footage of the sign on the truck?
I didn't hear. What did you say, Counselor?
Do we want to limit the square footage of the sign on the truck?
Keenan, what would you say?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I will say, I think one thing that should be considered and perhaps avoided is, mounting a sign like on the rear bed of the truck. I think what they're describing is basically a decal type sign on the side of the truck. And I think that would be appropriate, if designed well. But I would be concerned about, something coming in later where they're mounting a sign on the back of the truck and it's quite large. And so I think you might want to stick with just the decal type sign.
Okay, so we're going to stick with the decal. What's the height and the sides?
Well, I think what they suggested was 12 to 16 square feet. I think that's reasonable. I don't know if that could fit on a truck, but that's reasonable from my perspective.
Mr. Sue, is that sound acceptable?
Side?
That sounds fine to me, sir.
Perfect. Okay. Anything further, Counselor? Because I want to open up the board to see if they have any questions from the witness.
No.
Okay. Mr. Disco, before we go, the lighting was adequate, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we just get to whether it's going to be backlit or how it's going to be lit?
Yeah. What's about the sign? If your engineer can testify about the sign, the lighting on it.
Yes, Mr. Costner, can you explain to them the lighting on the signage? Is it going to be backlit? How's the lighting?
Well, the signs, they are shown in the proposed sign detail lower corner of the sheet 3. There are 3 signs, as your planner has said, 5 signs rather, 3 on the highway frontage side and then 2 on the rear. And the only reason there's 3 and 2 is that because the ones are larger than the other. They're 22 foot 2 inches in length, 3 foot 8 inches in height. That's the largest sign. And the smaller signs are 11 foot 5 inches in length and 9 inches in height. On the Brown Avenue side, they're 22 for 2 inches in length and 3 foot 8 inches in height again, and the same for the smaller sign.
Yeah, so I don't think we're worried about the signs and want to know if they're going to be lit.
And I got to get an answer on that from the architect.
Can I jump?
Yes,
can I jump
please.
in here?
Please.
Yes, we plan on having the sign lit,
You do.
backlit.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes, any?
Okay.
You're on mute, Keenan.
No, we were just asking for clarity since the plans did not specify the illumination, but if the board's comfortable with internally illuminated signage, it's certainly common along the Route 22 corridor.
Yep, and I think I am. We'll open up the board. Okay, Counselor, I'm going to take this opportunity to open up to the board. Mayor?
I'm on mute. Just wanted to, I think it's a very creative idea with the truck. I really am liking this and a great entryway to Springfield. But knowing this and a way to clean up this property and make it an entrance into Springfield, I would also like to just reemphasize is some better landscaping design, and it would probably help your business to have as best a landscaping plan as possible, and would help us as well. So as long as we can work together with your guys and Mr. Disco to make that a reality, I would be that would be really appreciated with me. With the culvert, the cleanup, Mr. Disco will know better, but you guys got to be careful with that with DEP regulations. I would imagine. So as long as you're working along with Mr. Disco, making sure you guys don't get into any hassle there. But with that being said, I have no real questions. I'm liking this business and proud to welcome you to Springfield.
I appreciate that, sir.
What I presume.
Your comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Perfect. Before I go to Mr. Committeeman Huber, Mr. Cussler, please make sure, because in about 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you to agree to everything in both the letters of our planner and engineer. So please read them a little bit over. Make sure you agree to all the stipulations in case we didn't cover anything, because it's an exhibit in the resolution. Committeeman Huber?
I agree with what the mayor said. I think it's good for Springfield. I think I've been to the one in New Providence a few times. I think it's good. Just the landscape and that I'm just worried about.
Yeah, I think Mr. Disco and I reviewed the landscaping this morning, and I believe putting in some additional street trees and some additional plantings will, one, take account of any additional impervious coverage, and two, help with the view of the site, and cleaning up the basin in the back will also resolve any potential drainage issues that are there. Okay, Mr. Barnett?
Do you intend to light the car also?
I haven't had any plans to light the car in the evening time, but there was an idea during maybe Christmas time. We would maybe put some Christmas lights on it, but that was just a suggestion that we had in the beginning planning of the car itself, the truck itself.
I guess I would think you might want to light the car. So
yeah,
especially in the winter.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if there's anything extra needed if they do want to have spotlight on the car or something like that, either temporarily during holidays or permanently.
Mike, I don't think so, right? There's no relief.
I'm going to look at now, but it's permitted to light the sign. So
yeah, so I think it's cool. So the sign on the building that looks like your channel lettering, right? It's not going to be a light box or anything like that.
No, it's going to be individualized lettering. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we like.
Yep.
The truck access over on Brown is the intention that the trucks will actually back in to the loading dock and back out, so they really don't ever have to come into the main parking lot.
That is correct. They will have to back out of that area. Once they kind of come in forward, they'll back out. Yep.
Terrific. Good.
Yep.
Any other, besides cleaning out the culvert, any other issues with the stream in terms of flooding during some of our hurricanes? Has that been an issue back there? Mike, maybe you know, is it just anything else have to happen in terms of flooding or drainage because of the stream in more extreme situations?
No, I mean, I think that was a traditional detention basin sort of designed when the site first appeared. There are trees in the basin. Sometimes you don't see that on a more modern one. The outlet head wall is visible. You just can't see the pipe, but the water's getting to it and then out to the stream. So it's actually probably overly retarding the water from getting to the stream. But having said that, the inlet is not visible either. So it needs a good cleaning up. It probably hasn't been done in a long time. So
Yeah, and I think we need to get them to put in a maintenance plan. Anytime a residential application comes, there's a maintenance thing to the basin, be a maintenance plan submitted to the township on when it's going to be maintained and cleaned. I'm sure the engineer can draft something and be acceptable to Counselor and Mr. Disco for approval.
Yeah, very straightforward.
Perfect. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I looked up the lighting on the signs. It really just is protective language so we don't produce glare and the light directly to adjacent property owners. So it's very vague with that regard.
So any lighting of the sign of the truck area will be subject to approval of Mr. Disco to make sure that we're not glaring or anything that would cause lighting on 22 and blind anyone driving down or anything like that. Is that okay, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Aren't we lucky to have Mr. Disco? Okay. Aaron, any questions?
No, I think everything's been pretty covered to at least to my engineering knowledge or lack of same. So I have no questions at this time.
Mrs. Ruggiero, I think you're next, but I think if you want to be part of the review with Mr. Disco of the lighting of the landscaping plan, I would take no issue with that.
Yes, I would be. I don't have any questions, just, again, commenting about the landscaping. If we could add more trees, that would be fantastic. Just wanted to kind of.
So that's fine. When the plan comes in, Mr. Disco will reach out to you, review it, and you'll sign off on behalf of the board.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Wishna?
I have two questions, but the first, maybe it's more clarity, and I may have missed this in the testimony from Mr. Kestner. The area, I guess, to the west of the existing building, are we saying that, I guess, call it side yard, is going to be expanded to create the additional parking spaces? Is that the area we're talking about?
That is correct. Yeah, immediately to the west of the building, that area would be used to create 8 additional parking spaces.
So those spaces would then abut the existing 8 spaces that face the curb, so that there'd be like 2 rows.
Yes.
Back to back. Is that?
That's correct. Yeah, 2 rows. I say nose to nose. They would
Okay.
butt one another. Correct.
So then there'd be a drive aisle that's closest to the building then. It
And
doesn't
the drive
exist
aisle,
today.
yes, the drive aisle would be closer to the building than the parking spaces.
Okay. Okay. I understand. It wasn't clear from the plan I was looking at. So, okay. No other questions there. As it relates to this sign, and it is a creative idea. In my day job, I've seen this done in places before in jurisdictions that have, I'll call it, more restrictive signage ordinances, and it tends to be a way to get around the ordinance. And what I would hate to have happen is that there be copycats along Route 22 that see this great idea and everybody starts putting vehicles as close to the road as possible. So I want to understand if this vehicle is intended to be stationary or if it could be driven at any point. I don't want it to become a mobile sign, and want to confirm that its location remains fixed.
Yes. Could I answer that question?
Yes, please.
Yes. The vehicle itself is it's actually an old vehicle. The engine barely runs. So we plan on not moving the vehicle once it's kind of stationary there.
It's decommissioned without license plates on it. It's
yeah.
decorative.
Yes,
for all
absolutely.
intents and purposes. Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And then based on its placement, is that, and I guess maybe for Mike, is that aligning with the setbacks from the road as far as where, a sign could be placed, that we're essentially considering it a sign?
There is a requirement for, I think, a 10-foot offset for ground signs. As a structure, it's, requires the variance relief for the structure itself. If we deem it more of a sign, it would have to either have the 10-foot setback or request the variance relief. It looks to me like the corner of, it's on an angle, the corner of it's probably less than 10 feet. Of course, it's not as tall as other signs either,
Right. I just am concerned that if it's too close to the Route 22 where traffic is traveling at a high rate of speed, that, there's tends to be accidents, and, the closer to the road you get, there's a reason why there's setbacks in place.
Yeah, there's a DOT bus facility, with little bench and a roof there, right there. So if anybody's gonna veer off the road, they're gonna take out that bus shelter.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's good clarity. Appreciate the answer. No other questions.
Perfect. So, Counselor, while we go through questions, I'd like you to get ready to summarize what variance relief you're asking for, so the board's aware of it when we go back and discuss it. Vice Chair Kessel?
My questions have all been answered, so I have no questions at this time.
Yeah. So I don't have any questions. I'll start with the statements because then we'll open it up to the public, because I think this is a cool idea. I haven't been to New Providence. It's too far out of. I don't leave Dodge, Springfield, but I think it'll be a great idea to have something really cool with the truck coming into Springfield. Scott, I definitely share your concerns. I think we would, I don't want to call it deed restricted, but whatever the word is, that thing can't move. It's not a movable sign. Can't be driven around the parking lot with like an ice cream truck with playing music or anything like that. It's just there and it's there for good. And Mr. Disk and our attorney can write that in there for it. And this in my opinion, a farmer's market, that's like the icon thing with that type of truck. So I'm cool with it. I think if a car dealership started parking cars there and stacking them on top to make something, we'd have a problem with it. So I would hope that we would avoid that. But I share your concern. So at this point, I'm assuming there's no more witnesses. What I like to do is open up to the public. Are you okay with that, Counselor?
Yes, of course.
Sure. So at this time, any members of the public wish to speak on this application and question any of our witnesses? Who, anyone?
Seeing none, sir.
Seeing none. Okay, I'm going to close this matter to the public portion. I'm going to remand it back to the board. Counselor, if you can just, for our attorney, and I want to make sure both our planner and our engineer understand all the variances and that we've encompassed everything in the resolution that we're going to do.
Yes, so my understanding is the variances that we're seeking in front of the board tonight is the first and foremost is the variance for the front yard. Originally, I noticed as if the truck was an accessory structure, which we show it listed at being 10 feet off of the property line. And it's 27.87 feet to that small 98 square foot addition that we're doing in the front. If the board was more inclined to see the truck as just a freestanding sign, it sounds like at the 10 feet, it would be in compliance, but we did notice for a 10-foot front yard setback on the conservative. Also, additionally, as the planner points out, the truck is, if it's going to be considered an accessory structure, that would be an additional variance that would be required. As indicated, the number of wall signs, we're showing a total of 5 wall signs, not including the truck. But again, if we're keeping the truck as a freestanding sign, then we would be at 5 wall signs, where my understanding is 3 are permitted. And then the size of the wall signs is indicated in your planner's memo. And then we just have the 2 pre-existing conditions for the rear yard setback and the side yard setback that are not in any way being exacerbated or changed as a result of this application would be my understanding of the variance in the pre-existing conditions that exist.
Okay, Keenan, are you on, or Spot, are you on?
I'm on.
What do you
Hi,
think-
how are you?
Hi, thank you. What do you think is the appropriate way that we do, the sign or the truck? I mean, no matter what in the resolution, this truck is going to be very clearly labeled to make sure that it can't be moved and dealt, and play
Right.
music, whatever it might be. What do you think?
I think the fact that the truck could be there without a sign makes it an accessory structure first. And then adding a sign on top of it is just a separate consideration. And as Keenan had mentioned, his opinion was that the sign decal on the truck would be considered a freestanding sign as opposed to a wall sign, and that having two freestanding signs on the site would also be a variance.
So, Counselor, we're going to, hold on. Louis, you good with the tally of variances? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, well, anything from you further?
I think that we also were looking for the sign area, whether there was a variance needed for sign area. So
I think Mike put we didn't need
was that computed?
Mr. Disco, I thought you computed it and said that it was okay, correct?
The wall signs meet the individual letter height of 5 feet, the 60% width, and the 10% facade area. As far as the existing pylon sign, that's certainly within the 75 square foot, I believe. I don't know if it exceeded the 22 foot in height, and the 12 to 16 foot, I'll call it logo sign on the vehicle. Obviously it's a second ground sign variant.
So all signs have to comply with, we're not giving any variance relief for area of the signs. It's going to meet the terms of our ordinance.
Understood.
As depicted, yeah, they're okay in terms of the area, the width, and the height.
Yeah, they have enough signs. Nothing needs to go any bigger, in my opinion. Okay, so let's take an opportunity to open this up to the board. Mayor, any questions, concerns? You've already said your.
No, I've said.
Okay, Mr. Huber, any questions or concerns before we vote? Nope, seeing none. Mr. Barnett?
I got 8 limes there yesterday for $1. I only needed 1 lime. Some extra lime. I've got plenty.
You can bring them to the next in-person planning board meeting.
I will.
Pass them along to me.
Aaron, any questions?
Concerns. All my questions were answered, and excited to have the business here in town.
Aaron, any questions?
Yeah, my question is, what is he going to do with 8 limes?
I'll share them.
Okay, no, I have no other questions.
Okay, Mrs. Ruggiero?
Nope. Excited, looking forward to it in town.
Wishna, Mr. Wishna?
No other questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Kessel, Vice Chair Kessel?
No question. I did want to know what Mr. Barnett was going to do with the
Mojitos.
extra lime, but
Everyone come over for mojitos.
exactly. There you go. No, I think it's
Lemonade.
a wonderful addition to Springfield. Looking forward to it.
Yep. I concur. I think it's going to be cool for Springfield. Something great. I want to make sure it's designed, the entrances makes it look properly. A couple other conditions above the variance: the basin will be cleaned. The basin also, a maintenance plan will be submitted in accordance with the board engineers and attorneys to make sure it's properly maintained. The landscaping plan will be designed and approved by Mr. Disco and our environmental rep, Marissa Ruggiero. And I think that's it.
So, Mr. Chairman, you had the truck would be non-movable
Yes, non-movable, cannot be moved.
And
Any lighting,
and the light subject to Mr. Disco.
Yep, and the lighting be
And
subject to Mr.
And the truck is going to be kept in good condition, and any decals you're only going to put decals on the side of the truck, and they're going to be limited to 16 square feet.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion with all the variances that Counselor read. Our counselor confirmed that he has all the variances and the conditions I just read into the record.
Chairman, I'll make a motion for the approval of application 7-2022S Route 22 Farmers Market preliminary and final site plan variances as discussed, everything else as discussed for the farmers market.
And I think
I'll second.
Aaron gets the second because he's very happy about this. So we do a roll call?
Yep. Mr. Barnett,
Yes.
Mr. Lawfer,
Couldn't unmute there. Yes.
Mayor Kaiser,
Yes.
Kim Miniman Huber,
Yes.
Ms. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Wishna,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kessel,
Yes.
and Chairman Tiger.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Congratulations. Looking forward to having it at Springfield. Make it look really nice and pretty because it's a great entrance to Springfield. Your resolution will be adopted at the November 14th meeting at 6:30 p.m.
Appreciate your time.
If the ability is work out a lot of the conditions before with Mr. Disco, so that way you get a quicker thing to move in.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you for
At
your
this
time.
time, I want to open any other business before this planning board. Any members of the public?
Seeing none, sir.
Seeing none, can I entertain a motion to adjourn till November 14th at 6:30 p.m. virtually?
At 7 o'clock, I'll vote for 7 o'clock.
Okay, well, you don't have a say in the matter, Mr. Huber. Anyone else? Any advice, Mr. Huber?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I oppose, 7 o'clock.
Okay, see you later. Thanks, everyone. See you at
Thanks,
6:30
everyone.
on 14th.
Night.
Bye.
Mike, I won. Mike, I won.
Record.